Hello, it's Chris. I thought I'd come on and just share a quick little tip with you. I'm about to cut out the flap for a crossbody bag that I'm making. So this is my own pattern, which might be going to be released shortly. Stay tuned. But anyway, I thought I'd share a quick tip for when you're cutting out curves. And this is how I like to do it, especially when you're using a rotary cutter. So I'm going to cut out the whole flap and then I'll show you how I'll come back and do these corners. So to start with, I'm going to trim down my sides and my top, and then I know that's done, and then I'll trim down the bottom and then I'll work on these curves. Okay, so I like to use a rotary cutter just so that I can get it nice and straight. So I'm lining up the edge of my ruler along the edge of the pattern, and then I will trim that off. Before I move my hand from the ruler, I'll just make sure that I've got a clean cut, and I can see there that I didn't get a clean cut, so I'll just come back, and now I know that's a lovely straight line. I'll turn my pattern around. I've got a pattern weight. I just use, these are my crystals I've had for quite some time now, and they're really nice and weighty. So I can turn that around, my pattern piece isn't moving. I can lay my ruler on. If this weight was in the road, I would put my hand here, hold this to secure so my pattern piece doesn't move, and I would just slide that down so it's out of the road. Lining up my ruler along that top edge there, making sure I'm not trimming off any of my pattern piece, and cut. Pull away. If I didn't have a clean cut, I would have just come back and cut that again. You'll see too, what I've found when I'm teaching classes is some people aren't quite sure how to keep their ruler from moving. So what I tend to do is I place my fingers so that I've got a good grip, and then I have my pinky finger along the side edge here of the ruler, and that, if I hold that like that, I can push on that ruler and it's not going to move because I'm holding it firmly and my pinky finger is stopping it from sliding down. And when I'm cutting, if I was cutting a big long line, I'll do like what I call, and I usually say when I'm teaching, the incy wincy spider walk. So I'll move my hand along as I'm cutting. So I get to there, I'll stop, incy wincy spider walk, make sure my pinky is holding on there again, and then I'll continue the cut. That way then the rotary cutter is always balanced against my hand, which helps eliminate this from sliding. If I was holding up here and cutting down here, I've got more risk of that sliding, or vice versa. If I'm holding down here and cutting up there, there's more chance so you can easily move that even though I'm holding it. So keep your hand close to where the rotary cutter is. So I've done the side, the top, coming around, doing the other side, because these are nice straight lines. Just spin around as I'm going, and I'll cut. I've already interfaced this fabric, so I interface a bigger piece and then I trim it down. I can turn this around again. You can see the pattern weight is holding my pattern piece in place. I'm going to slide that weight down. So again there I'm going to hold this in place, slide down. I've got this on here just because I've got measurements, and this is like my working draft sort of pattern, although I've finished drafting it now, and I'm really happy with my results. So there we go again there. Lovely clean cut. Now I've got those little corners. Now instead of getting your rotary cutter and trying to, let me just get this back in place, and trying to get your rotary cutter to cut around a curve, really difficult to do that. What you can do is you make lots of little cuts around the curve. So keeping my fingers out of the road, but I'm still holding that pattern piece down. I'm going to come in from behind and I'm going to slice. Come in from behind, come up to the edge of that pattern and slice. come up from behind again and slice. Come up from behind and slice. Come up from behind and slice. Oh, I didn't get it. Now I've got a lovely curve. So really nice, neat curve. So it's much easier than trying to go around and draw it and then you end up missing bits and that. So again there, holding this, turn it around, and I'm going to come along, just make sure nothing's moved. Might have moved it just slightly there. So again there, come up from behind. I'm fairly straight, sort of close to this edge. Slice, 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 slice. So I can see I've got still just a little tiny bit there. And slice that bit off. And again there, lovely, nice, neat curve. So this was the fabric that is all voted for to go with this gorgeous navy ostrich. So this was the winning choice. So I went with what you chose. This was my original first preference as well. And then I picked out the other fabrics and I was like, oh, now I don't know which one. So I think it goes lovely. So that's my Shawfuse woven interfacing on the back. It's beautiful. It adheres really well. See if you can see the texture of that. And there's the quilting cotton. How beautiful is that? Look at all those colours. Absolutely stunning. So that's that. That's the flap. So this will be what's on the inside of the flap. So it'll be like that. I've got the blue more sort of down the bottom and then that colour up the top. And then I love this bit of purple in there as well. And there's the gunmetal hardware. Looks gorgeous. I love it. This bag is actually going to end up in my shop. I thought those of you who make bags, you might quite like this little tip for cutting corners. I can see there, I probably could cut, you might be able to see there's a little tiny little point. Although when I'm sewing, that won't even get noticed. It's really not an issue, but if I did want to be particularly fussy, because I can see it, you might be able to see it there a little bit better. Get my pattern piece, line it up, and get it all in the exact places again. And there's that little tiny, tiny little point. Now, point no more. Okay, I just thought you might appreciate that little tip.